Under the soft light of late afternoon, James left Tu Diep's wooden house after their talk about Tung, feeling a hint of joy upon realizing she needed him. Meanwhile, Diep stepped inside, her heart warmed by the concern from both James and Tung, silently thinking she was lucky to have them by her side, despite life's many challenges. In this episode 51, we catch a glimpse of the moment James introduces Diep to his friends, when the difference in wealth rattles their love. Will the genuine bond between them conquer societal prejudice, or is it merely a lovely dream like in a romance novel? Under the pale morning light at James's woodworking factory on the outskirts of Tanmin town, the usual quiet was broken by the alarmed shout of a worker echoing from a corner of the workshop. The wood-cutting machine is broken. The urgent cry made several others stop what they were doing, their worried eyes turning toward the large cutter, now lying motionless amid a pile of wood scraps. James had just driven up in his Ford Raptor, the dim grey sky shining through the windshield and accentuating his crisp black suit. The fine fabric fit his tall frame perfectly as he stepped out, polished leather shoes picking up a little red dust from the rough path. Concerned about recent production delays, he thought, "I need to check this out. I can't let the company run into more trouble." He entered the workshop, pale light streaming through gaps in the corrugated metal roof, illuminating tall stacks of lumber. The scent of tree resin filled the air, mingling with the soft murmurs of workers. Tuan, a lean man in a faded blue shirt, his hands still stained with machine oil, ran over with a tense voice. "Boss, the cutter's broken. It's been raining so we haven't had much wood coming in, but if the weather clears we'll get more and things are tough right now." James gave a curt nod, his steady gaze surveying the workshop until it landed on the large cutter with its cracked blade, lying useless among the wood scraps. His deep voice resonated above the background noise. "Anything else? Tell me everything." Tuan exhaled, worry flickering in his eyes. "The machine broke because the wood from Beja Company had a big metal rod inside it which cracked the blade. I checked carefully, it wasn't our guy's fault." James frowned, his hands balling into fists inside his suit pockets, his low tone brimming with tension. "Beja, I did some digging. Turns out that's John's company. This is our last order with them. Tell everyone to thoroughly inspect the remaining batches." He turned away, anger flaring within him like a sudden flame. Who would have thought John would stoop so low, hiding metal in the lumber to sabotage our machine? Such a petty but dangerous move. What's he after? Stepping closer to the cutter, the faint light fell across his tense face as he touched the cracked blade, thinking, "Thankfully the damage isn't worse, but I need to nip this in the bud. I can't let John sabotage us again." He pictured Diep and felt a surge of determination. The company must stay stable so she can have peace of mind. I won't let anyone make things harder for her. Meanwhile, Tu Diep was on a bumpy red dirt road near Tanmin village. In the weak morning light she stood there in her thin, patched-up shirt, the worn fabric fluttering in the chilly spring breeze, her old rubber sandals coated in red dust. She had hired a small cart to haul sand from the stream for repairing her farm, thinking, "The yard is so muddy when it rains. I need to level it out so Harky doesn't get all dirty, and so James can see I'm really trying." She waited by the roadside, faint light revealing her sun-browned, slender face. Watching the passing vehicles, she told herself. "Better work fast, so I can earn more money." The middle-aged cart driver, wearing a threadbare brown shirt and looking rather haggard, arrived in his rattling cart, and they headed to the stream. She pointed. "Please load the sand over there," then joined him in shoveling the fine golden sand onto the cart. Sweat beaded on her forehead, but her resolve held firm. "I have to do this myself. I can't rely on James forever." They continued on to a small materials shop near Tanmin Market. The pale light shone on a dusty shelf stacked haphazardly with cement bags, each coated in a thin layer of white powder. She asked in a soft voice, "How much is a bag of cement, sir?" The short, stocky seller in a worn t-shirt answered, 75,000 dong a bag. If you buy 3, I'll give them to you for 200,000. That's already cheap." She nodded, counting the bills in her old cloth pouch. She calculated mentally. 200,000 for the cement, then I'll still have to pay the driver. Not much left over. The driver helped her load 3 bags of cement and the sand onto the cart, its engine rattling as they drove off, red dirt swirling behind them. Pale light fell across the cart's rolling shadow on the road. Once they reached her yard, she wiped her sweat and offered, "Please come in and have some water, take a break." But he shook his head, speaking in a low tone. "I'm busy, gotta go now. That'll be 100,000 for the ride plus 300 for the cement." She paid with crumpled bills, leaving her only 200,000 in her pouch. She thought, "That's hardly anything left. I really need to make more money. This won't be enough." Thanking him, she stood under the weak sunlight, watching him leave. She turned to the pile of materials, feeling worried but determined. I have to do this right, make the farm nicer, so James can be proud. James arrived at Tu Diep's wooden house late in the afternoon. Faint rays of sun filtered through the old bang tree, its leaves casting shifting shadows on the reddish yard. Pulling his Ford Raptor up at the gate, wheels still dusty from the lumberyard, he climbed out, the dim light highlighting his perfectly pressed black suit. His polished leather shoes left faint footprints on the uneven path. Spotting the neatly stacked cement and sand in the yard, he asked in a resonant voice that broke the stillness. "What's all this for, Diep? What are you doing with the cement and sand?" Diep, who was sweeping the yard, looked up, the weak sun illuminating her slender, sun-browned face. A slight smile touched her chapped lips, and she replied softly, "I bought it to pave the yard. It's always muddy, so I want to fix it up." James frowned, a hint of reproach in his eyes, his voice low and heavy. "Why didn't you ask me or Tuan for help? This is hard labor. You can't do it alone." She gave a gentle smile, her gaze kind. "You're busy, and I didn't want to bother you. I can handle it myself." James nodded, feeling a small surge of warmth at her thoughtfulness. "She's thinking of me, but I don't want her to struggle like this." He walked closer, his voice gentler now. "Next time, just call me. For now, come with me to the market. I'll buy you some new clothes. I'm introducing you to my friends today, and I want them to know you." They got into his truck, the late-day sun shining through the windshield as they drove down the dusty red road toward Kinman Market, dust swirling behind them. James glanced over at Diep, a flicker of excitement stirring in him. She'll look so pretty in new clothes. When they arrived at the market, soft light fell upon rows of adjacent stalls. The smell of fresh fabric drifted from the clothing vendors. James stopped at one stall, his eyes lighting up as he picked out a pale blue dress and a pair of shiny black heels and handed them to Diep. "Try these on, you'll look amazing." Diep hesitated, fingers brushing the dress's soft fabric, worry in her eyes. "I'm not used to wearing dresses, I'm afraid it won't suit me." James smiled, his low voice comforting. "Please, try it. I'd love to see you wear it." "You're beautiful, don't worry." She nodded, a wave of uncertainty washing over her. "He wants me to look pretty. I'll do it for him, even if I'm not used to it." They arrived at a luxurious restaurant in the center of Tanmin town, glittering chandeliers casting golden light onto a round table draped in crisp white cloth. Sparkling glassware reflected the warm glow. The cozy atmosphere also felt oddly alien to Diep as James lingered outside taking a phone call, his deep voice audible through the glass door. "I'll be right there." Stepping inside, Diep was bathed in the chandelier's glow, wearing the new pale blue dress and wobbling in the unfamiliar black heels. She stood uneasily near the table, feeling out of place. "This is so strange. I'm not used to it." James's friends, clearly well off in their glamorous outfits, perfectly styled hair and glittering jewelry, spotted her. One woman, in a tight red dress, pointed at her soup bowl. "Take this away, it's spoiled, hurry." Startled, Diep thought in dismay. "They think I'm the waitress?" Her hands trembled as she picked up the bowl, telling herself, "I don't know what else to do, I'll just go along with it." Another friend shouted, "This glass too, take it away." Head lowered, Diep hurried to the service station, feeling deeply embarrassed. "I truly don't belong here." Just then, James entered the opulent dining room, the chandelier's brilliant light catching the pristine lines of his black suit, the fine fabric molded to his tall figure, polished shoes clicking on the gleaming marble floor. He had just ended his call outside and was feeling cheerful about introducing Diep, until he saw her awkwardly standing by the table, hands shaking as she gripped a bowl of soup. Under the golden glow, her thin face looked pale, her unsteady posture made worse by the high heels. He strode over quickly, his deep voice cutting through the hushed whispers of his friends and the faint clink of glasses. "What are you all doing? This is Diep, my girlfriend, not a server. Why are you ordering her around?" Everyone froze, startled. Their eyes turned to Diep. A few of the women in lavish dresses and elaborately curled hair whispered, loud enough to be heard in the sudden hush. "She's not right for James, look at that cheap outfit. And didn't she already have a husband?" Another woman in a tight red dress sneered. "She looks so country." What was James thinking? Did he lose his sense of style? Diep lowered her head, fists clenched at the edges of her pale ghoul dress, her heart stinging as if stabbed. She could feel their piercing gazes. "They don't approve of me. I don't belong in their world. I'm only making James look bad." The meal turned sour, laughter forced and conversation awkward. The soup grew cold on the table, and even the enticing aroma of beef and wine couldn't dispel the oppressive atmosphere. Under the table, James held Diep's hand, sorrow and a hint of anger coursing through him. I want them to respect her. Why is this happening? Can't I protect her? They left early, the dim glow of streetlights stretching their shadows along the sidewalk, as Diep hobbled in her high heels. James apologized in a remorseful, gentle voice. I never expected them to act like that. Are your feet hurting? I made a mistake forcing you to wear those heels. I just wanted you to look beautiful in their eyes. Voice trembling slightly, Diep confided her emotions, sadness flickering in her eyes. Your friends don't like me. The heels really hurt. I'm not used to this. Inwardly, she thought. Wealthy people love high heels, but they're so painful, they look down on me. We're just too different.
Nỗi sợ mất anh trộn lẫn với sự không xứng đáng khiến cô đứng lặng hồi lâu quên cả việc khuấy nồi cháo đang sôi. Trên con đường mòn dẫn vào rừng, Diệp mang theo chiếc gùi tre bước đi với ý định hái đu đủ để bán. Công việc này không chỉ giúp cô kiếm tiền mà còn là cách để cô tạm quên đi những suy nghĩ hỗn loạn trong lòng. Nhưng khi cô dừng lại bên cây đu đủ cao vút, một bóng dáng bất ngờ xuất hiện từ phía sau giật mình. Diệp đi đâu về đấy? Giọng nói vang lên, thân hiện và quen thuộc cô lại. Đó là Hương, một người bạn cũ thời thơ ấu mà cô không gặp suốt nhiều năm. Hương đứng đó, đôi mắt trong sáng hiện lên sự đồng cảm, dù bụng bầu 7 tháng khiến cô ấy trông hơi mệt mỏi. Diệp mỉm cười, có dấu nỗi buồn. Chào bạn, bạn đi hái đu đủ à? Cô hỏi giọng nhẹ nhàng. Hương gật đầu. Hương ngồi xuống tảng đá nhỏ, ánh mắt không rời Diệp. Lâu lắm rồi chúng ta chưa gặp nhau, chắc phải 4-5 năm rồi nhỉ? Hương nói giọng trầm ấm như muốn kéo Diệp về những ngày tháng cũ. Diệp gật đầu, lòng chợt dâng lên chỗ ấm áp khi nhớ lại những ngày còn bé, khi cô và Hương từng chia sẻ những miếng bánh mì khô dưới mái hiên nhà bác Kiên. Dạo này bạn có khỏe không? Hương hỏi tiếp, ánh mắt ánh lên sự quan tâm chân thành. Diệp ngồi xuống bên Hương, đôi tay đan vào nhau như tìm kiếm sự an ủi. Tôi vẫn ổn, cô đáp, nhưng giọng nói không giấu đi được chút run rẩy. Hương nhìn cô, lòng chợt thất lại khi muốn nhận ra nỗi buồn ẩn sâu trong đôi mắt bạn mình. Cô ấy vẫn mang vẻ cô đơn như ngày xưa. Mình như muốn truyền chút sức mạnh cho Diệp. Chồng bạn đâu rồi? Sao lại làm một mình? Diệp hỏi, cố chuyển hướng câu chuyện. Nhưng Hương tự dài ánh mắt buồn. Chúng tôi vừa qua đời được 3 tháng. Diệp sững sờ, lòng trào lên sự đồng cảm sâu sắc. Tôi xin lỗi, cô thì thầm. Như nỗi đau của Hương đang hòa vào nỗi đau của chính mình. Hương mỉm cười buồn, xua tay, không sao đâu, còn bạn thì sao? Diệp cúi đầu, giọng nhỏ dần, tôi đã ly hôn rồi, giờ tôi ở tạm trang trại của một người bạn. Hương gật đầu, ánh mắt sáng lên. Nhưng nghe đến từ bạn, nghe nói người đó là chủ tịch rất giàu đúng không? Cô hỏi, giọng tò mò. Diệp gật đầu, làm chợt nặng trĩu nghĩ đến Giang. Là anh ấy rất tốt, nhưng tôi chỉ là người phụ nữ đã ly hôn. Tôi không xứng đáng với anh ấy nên đã từ chối tình cảm của anh ấy. Cô thú nhận, giọng run rẩy như sắp khóc. Hương nhìn Diệp, đau lòng nhói trước sự tự ti của bạn mình. Cô ấy xứng đáng được yêu thương hơn bất kỳ ai. Sao cô ấy lại tự giao mình trong nỗi đau như vậy? Hương nghĩ, tay nắm chặt lấy tay Diệp. Rồi, tôi đồng cảm với bạn. Nói đôi giọng điệu dịu dàng nhưng kiên định, Giang là người tốt, anh ấy giàu có và quan tâm bạn. Tại sao bạn phải từ chối? Chúng ta chỉ sống một lần, hãy nghe theo trái tim mình. Đừng để lời